Good morning, Internet. There's nobody here yet, so I'm gonna just sort of decide what I want to do. I said that I would do some researching or thinking anyway about what I wanted my topic to be about today. Instead, I just didn't do that. So I figure when everybody shows up, I'll just sort of start chit-chatting about what I think instead, because that seems to be a good flow for me for these things. So right now I'm working on, I picked black yarn, which was not necessarily the easiest to see, but I'm making like a amigurumi attempt for a little teddy bear. And I'm just on my reduction rows now to bring that circle back together. 1, 2, 3. And it's really nasty outside today. It's like rainy and it looks very cold. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2. So, yeah, I'm making this because I don't know, I felt like I wanted to make some baby things. I have several, good morning. I have several people in my life who are just starting to have babies, and it made me want to make some baby things. So that's what I'm doing this morning, is I'm getting started on the head of a baby thing. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it'll be a dog, maybe it'll be a moose, maybe it'll be a bear, but I think it'll probably end up being a bear. Right now it's just a circle. I'm going to stuff it, and then I'm going to take a round brush to the yarn, to the actual thing, and it's going to make it really fluffy like a teddy bear, like a good teddy bear should be. So I think I'll use buttons for his eyes and maybe some embroidery as well, and I think that'll make it pretty cute. But for today, I'm going to also be talking a little bit about, I don't know, what I think about kids and love and marriage and having a wedding, and when I'm gonna have my wedding, or if I'm gonna talk about those things, and kind of how I feel about that stuff, because that's at the age that I'm at right now. Good morning. Hello, everybody. At the age I'm at right now, it seems that a lot of people have, well, not a lot of people, society in general has an expectation that since I am in my late 20s, I must be planning for bringing new life into the world and making all of those changes right away. And if I say I'm not sure that I want to necessarily, it seems that that's pretty unacceptable still. Not by my friends or immediate family. It's more along like the lines of like, why don't you want to? There must be something wrong with you as to not want to necessarily do those things right away. Or at least that's what it feels like. The pressures of society, whoever they are, tries to say that by X age you should have done this, you should have done this, you should be doing this. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if I had like unlimited funds, obviously I would do a lot of those things that I'm holding off, like getting married, because I've been with Alex like 7.5 years, and we have been living together for a really big majority of that time. So we've been living like a married couple anyway. So the actual getting married is just a formality at this point, or that's what it feels like to me. So I'm not really in a rush anymore, because I would rather us invest our incoming money into our projects as opposed to spending it on a big party. I'm also, for a very chatty person, I'm a little bit nervous of the idea of throwing a big, huge party that I am the honorary guest of. I like having attention on me, but I like being able to leave if I no longer want it, and that's not really an option at a wedding. So I'm still just coming around to the idea of all of that and kind of trying to think about planning it. My little sister is also engaged, and she is way ahead of me on the planning scale. She's already got her venue, her dates. I think she's already sent out her save the dates. She's just way ahead. She's overall like a better planner. But to be fair, she's a teacher, so she is a better planner in general. And I'm okay with that because, like, again, Alex and I, we're ending up together. It's just happening. It's not really like a question. So who gets married when doesn't really matter so much anymore. But I also feel a weird sense of obligation with my whole wedding system, in that I have a pretty big family, and I feel like it would be like letting down a lot of people to have something small and very like casual. And I don't know that that's necessarily what I want in general, but right now that's what I feel like. So there's two parts of me. One says like, oh, why don't we just have like a family dinner and announce that we got married, and then in 2 years have a big wedding party. And that's definitely still an option, because I do make a lot of decisions last minute, but I don't think that that'll be actually how it ends up going. Good morning to all of you. Nice to see you here this morning. Feel free to use the chat window if you want to talk to me. I can read it. It's right there. But if not, I'm just kind of talking about marriage, weddings, kids, and general future ideas. Thunder is just going to be chilling with us in the background. And I don't know if you were here yesterday, you know that my nails are gone. I pulled my nails off so that I could give them a little break before I put on some new ones for filming. And there's that. So I'm going to give a little bit of background about Alex and me and kind of where we both came from in terms of like our relationships and our family relationships, just so that you kind of understand a little bit of background. So Alex is from Belarus. His family came over here a long time ago when he was little, like 10 or so. And his mom and dad live in Ottawa, and he has a sister. And I am from Hamilton. My family is all sort of spread out around, I guess, Eastern Canada. We have some people out west from my dad's side, but for the majority, we're mostly out east. And just one second. And in general, we've got like a pretty good sized family, I think. Like I don't have like thousands of cousins or anything, just a few. But there's 4 of us in my family. I've got a brother and 2 sisters and myself. And my mom and dad are still together. Alex's parents are still together. So it's kind of like, that's the outlook we both have, is like marriage and kids is kind of like the regular progression. That being said, when Alex and I met in 2010, 2011, we were both like kids. Like well, let's be honest, I'm not like grown up yet, but I mean, I was 18 and Alex was 22, and we were just floundering about trying to figure out what it meant. Excuse the sounds of sirens. I don't know if you can hear them, but there is always a fire alarm going off somewhere in Toronto, so no difference today. But yeah, so Alex and I, we got together and just dove right off the deep end into forever always love, which is great because like he is like, wow, he's super. He's like the best partner. He's super supportive. We don't argue the same way. So since we don't argue the same way, we get along really well. I'm like a yeller, a crier, and a stomper arounder. And he's like really a quiet, like fighter. Like if we have a conflict, he's very calm. He doesn't really get upset the way that I do. Whereas I get upset like, no problem. Upsetness is it comes easily to me. Rage and upsetness come very easily to me. I work on that. I work on it all the time actively. I make an effort because he is my favorite person in the whole world, and he is the only one. Oh, good morning, Rita. He's the only one I never want to hurt. when I'm in like a rage, it it can stop me in my tracks thinking that it could possibly have a negative outcome for Alex, because he is a gentle soul in general. And I'm pointing to him, by the way. He's sitting at his desk. He's got headphones and he's at work right now, but he's my guy. And he just basically, he brings out all of the good things in me and he helps me work through the bad things. And I hope that I do the same with him. For him, like, my struggle is containing my emotions and his struggle is releasing them. So what we work together on is he helps me deal with getting through the things I'm feeling, and I help him recognize the things that he's feeling. And together we basically are a perfect team. I know that sounds like, what do I know? I'm just a kid, but I will say he's never yelled at me like in a, like, the only time I can remember him yelling, he yelled at the cat and I cried because I hadn't heard him ever raise his voice, and the cat attacked the dog and he was upset and he like yelled at the cat like the cat was a person, and I like freaked out at him like, you can never do this again. This is not something that's your thing. This is my thing. Yelling and being upset is my thing. And but he's just not that, he's not a reactive person the way I am. So we basically are like, I don't know, we really complement each other in that way. So I knew pretty early that he was the one for me. He was the guy. And I think he did too. We began dating in like early May of 2011, and by late May we were like exclusively boyfriend and girlfriend. And that August we went on our first vacation together. We went away for 6 days on a road trip to New York City. We drove to New York City together, spent a week there, and every single day we were waking up at like 5 a.m., going into the city, walking all day long, getting home, getting back to the hotel at like 11 p.m., and then just dying, going straight to sleep until the next morning. And it was fast from there. Like from August, we were already living together by January of that coming year. So I mean, like, yeah, I dove in fast, but I'm kind of like if I feel something, I'll go for it. Like, I don't do half-assed so much. And neither does Alex. If he believes in something, he just goes for it. So I think that's good because we found each other, which is like good. But it kind of shows where we're at now, because we both read each other really well. So he is a software engineer and he's working for multiple people at the same time, and I'm doing YouTube and online work and for different platforms and different like groups that way. So we're both kind of working for multiple things. So we both understand the idea of like when I say like, do you want to just get married? We've done that before where we say like, do you want to just go do it? But we don't. Neither of us do. We both want it to be something we get to share with everyone, blah, 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 just like the way it's supposed to be, I guess. But it's no longer so much of a rush because I know it's going to end up that way anyway. I'm not really like, it's not like I have to marry him because some reason. Also, I'm not specifically religious. I'd like to say I have like some spirituality, but I don't really subscribe right now to any one thing. So for that reason, I'm also not really feeling the rush, like the pressure of getting married for any, I don't know, like a polite way to say it. I don't feel that I have to have a baby after I get married. That's not something that like worries me. The order of operations for my life is not set in stone. So if we end up having a baby before we get married, okay. If we have a baby after, okay. If we have one before, one after, awesome. If we don't have any babies, okay. I'm kind of wrapped up in this thing now where if I can't, I'm not going to be totally heartbroken about it. But if I can, I'd like to. That's kind of where I'm at. And I think Alex is kind of in the same sort of boat. Like, obviously, right now, today would not be convenient to be having a child. But if it happened, it would be joyful. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to attempt to, but if something happened. So, yeah. And with marriage, for me, I like the idea of marriage. It's not for me because of a religious thing or because of family pressure. Like, I don't think it really matters to anyone who loves me if I get married or not. I think it's more about the fact that like you have like a secure partner, but I have a secure partner in Alex. So like the marriage part doesn't really matter. We're already in like a marriage. Like we're on each other's taxes and like we're on each other's everything. We're essentially, for the government, we're basically married anyway. But I do want to marry him because he's the only person I would ever want to marry, if that makes sense. It's like I want to marry him for him, like and for me, not for anybody else, and not for any god or any family, I would say. But at the same time, if you've ever been to a wedding with your family, it's so much fun. The last wedding I got to go to with my whole family was my brother's wedding, and we danced and drank and danced the night away, the whole family. Like my mom and my dad were like with us, and my sisters and all of our partners. We were having like such a great time. It was really fun and really stuck in my head as like, ooh, I want to do that, but I want to do it with all of my favorite things, you know? Like all of my favorite foods, and like I want to have some of my favorite people around and that sort of stuff. So I think I went a little bit far with this crochet I'm working on. Let me just see if I can make this work how I want. Sorry, I'm trying to work on something that I don't know how to do at the same time as talking about a topic that I definitely do not have any authority on. Maybe one more row I can take out. Sorry, it just got a little bit big. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that I don't know where I really planned on going with this conversation so much, so it might sound a little bit all over the place, but it kind of is. Pretty much I've been feeling a lot lately that it's just not really healthy to be consistently worrying about what everybody else wants for you. Good morning. But at the same time, it's definitely hard to just pretend like they're not there when you're making your decisions, because of course, like your family and your friends, if those people matter in your life, then they are there. They are going to be there. They're going to be around. And I also understand that it's strange for some people to hear like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, if I want to have kids, if I want to get married. Like, I someday can imagine myself with a family, but like right now, I'm not really in the place where I want that necessarily right now. So I don't know. It's very confusing because my opinion on things changes so freaking often that it's hard to like pinpoint how I feel about any one topic, because if I get more information on something tomorrow, that could totally change what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. But where I'm at right now is that if I came into tons and tons of money, Alex and I would probably just get everybody together and get married right away, because it would be fun and we would be not in debt from it. But in real life, it'll probably be a couple of years. We're thinking 2020 when we'll do like the actual whole wedding thing with our family and everything. As for like what we're looking for in a wedding, I think that it's been pretty consistent from Alex's point of view. He's made a couple of requests, some very random but specific requests, one of which is he wants a red barn on location at our wedding. So that means I guess we're going to have something kind of country. He also requested that we have matching things, something matching tablecloths, matching chair covers, something like that. Like he wants it to be like legit. He doesn't want to half-ass it. And I get that. I'm supportive of that. I don't really mind. It doesn't really matter so much to me where we go or whatever like that. But at the same time, I know I have a couple of things that matter to me. So there's a couple of things that I really and I can show you one of them. And it actually ties in. I know I spoke about my grandma on the first live stream. This kind of ties into that. I just need 1 second to pull it out because I have it stored with some of my notions in here. So one of the important things is that I get to use this fabric in some part of my wedding dress. This piece of quilting cotton is my last piece of my grandmother's fabric. And I know that sounds like, I don't know how it sounds. It's the last thing that I have that she, that I know that she really did use, because she made this into matching dresses for my sisters and I when we were little for a wedding. We were flower girls, and she used this fabric. Look how cute it is, little flowers. She used this fabric to make our flower girl dresses, and I've pretty much just been storing it and hoarding it because it gets me choked up when I hold it. I don't know. When I interact with this, I feel things, and I know that it's just fabric and it's just string that's been woven. I know it's not her, and I know that I don't even know her because I was a little kid. I know that those things are all very like wrapped up, but they're wrapped up in my emotions. So one of the things I have decided, something that I feel pretty strongly about, is that I want to use that fabric somewhere in one of my wedding dresses. I don't know if it'll be like just like a headband or a belt, or maybe it'll just be a patch that I sew into the lining or something. But it's kind of like, I don't credit her with all things, obviously. I think that my mom and dad really supported my creativity in a way that allowed me to believe that it was good enough to try to keep working on. I think that that is something, like, my mom was the person who taught me how to draw hands. Do you know what I mean? Or like my dad would, like, I was like a weird teenager. Like, I was that one that would have like, I drew with charcoal a lot in high school. So I would have like a full wall of like dark art, just like, my parents would come in like, dinner's ready, everything's normal. But like, there would be like this weird art that I drew all over the walls. So I think like my parents were the ones that helped me make it into that direction for my creativity. But I think that a lot of people in my family life pretty much say that my grandma Patricia was the most creative, most artistic, most whatever person. And I think that maybe because she was, the rest of my family, when they saw some creativity in me, they were more willing to foster that creativity because it belonged to someone else. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I feel like because of her, creativity and artsiness was like part of her heart. So when they saw it in me, they were much more happy to see it, and it made them think of her. So I think that because it made them think of her, it was more important to keep it alive in me. And so I really appreciate that. And that's something that, like, I don't know, it makes me feel connected to her in a way. Like, it makes me thankful that she existed the way that she did, because it kind of allowed the way that I exist to be more readily accepted. I don't know if that's true. That's just like how I see it with my lens right now. And I don't have all of the information, of course, because you only know your side of anything. Also, I've decided to switch to to my circle loom. I have this, I'm doing some stash busting with my circle loom, and I'm basically just trying to get rid of all of the tiny balls of yarn that are this size. So I'm just gonna make a infinity scarf cowl type thing with this one. Also, do you like this shirt I'm wearing, guys? Like, this is one of my originals. I did a 2x2 rib for this one, 2 back posts, 2 front posts all the way around, and I really like that, I don't know, that wide cozy look. And then I made the sleeves a little bit baggy so that they'd be sort of chill. And then for the side, I did one of those panel sides, and yeah, I don't know, I'm into it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling about, I don't know, marriage and kids right now, is that yes, I'm gonna probably end up doing both, but right now I'm not ready for either. So I'm having too much, Alex and I are just, both of us, we're having too much fun living on what we consider to be the edge. Just even simple things, like if I don't feel like cooking dinner, I don't have to cook dinner. We can go and grab a pizza downstairs. We live in Toronto, so everything is right around us. We can just go grab a pizza and eat pizza, and then in the morning we can eat pizza again. And it's like we can be like grosser versions of ourselves than what you're allowed to be when you're a parent. And don't get me wrong, I think I'm gonna be like mama extraordinaire. I think that that is going to be a role that I do excel in, because I like little guys, little kiddos, little babies. I like everything except for vomit. I can handle. That's like my weakness. That's always been that way. Since my sister and I were, when we were in university, we were both in Ottawa, and we had a family friend, a group of family friends. They had a couple of kids, and every time they would have a baby, Mallory and I would be there helping while they settled with the new baby, and then we'd be babysitting the older kids. So they were about all 2 years apart, so it was really close to how our family was growing up. But for some reason, the minute a baby vomits milk, I am done. I'm out of there. So that's something I'm gonna have to get over, because like I gag, like I'm not prepared yet. I could take anything coming out of a diaper. Anything coming out of a diaper, no problem. That's, for me, not a big deal, but blech, baby vomit is probably the grossest thing in the whole world. So as soon as I can get over that, then I can have a baby, I guess. That and like cooking every single day. Although Alex and I, we go through phases of being like hyper health nuts, and then phases of being like total lazy people. Right now we're kind of in the middle. We do like, I would say like 3 or 4 home cooked with a vegetable and a carb and a whatever meals a week, and then like 2 or 3 meals out a week. But we live right downtown Toronto, so like eating out can be healthy and like cheap. So don't worry about it. Don't come for me. But yeah, we've gone through phases. Like we went almost fully raw vegan for like several months. We were trying to see if it would help Alex's skin. Alex has eczema. It didn't help. It maybe helped a little bit to go off of dairy, but we didn't go back on dairy. So currently we don't eat dairy, and we don't eat, for the most part, we don't eat meat. Like I would say we eat meat when we go over to my parents' house for dinner. We eat meat if we go out for dinner, but we don't buy meat. We buy eggs and, okay, no, I lied. We buy bacon. We buy bacon probably every once a month or twice a month, because we like to have bacon and eggs. But we don't buy ground beef. We don't really buy like meat to cook now. We just do a lot of vegetables, which I honestly haven't really missed it, because when we go out for food, then we'll have meat then. And I don't know, I would say we probably eat meat twice a week, once or twice a week. Does that sound true? 2 times, maybe 3 times? We don't eat meat 7 times a week, that's for sure. But we do eat eggs. We eat eggs fairly often. I know I was starting talking about marriage, but let's talk about food now, because That's where my brain's going. Also, dad or mom, if you're watching this morning, good morning. If you watched the live stream yesterday, my dad called during the live stream, and I picked up because I pretty much always pick up if my dad calls. And he was like commenting on the live stream, so that made me laugh. Made me feel a little bit awkward and made me lose my train of thought because I didn't consider that people I know could be watching. I just kind of assumed the internet is a wide and anonymous place. But that's okay. Anyway, so let's talk about food. And feel free to comment because I am definitely not educated in nutrition or health sciences or anything to do with eating. So don't like take anything that I say as like true. It's basically just my interpretation of what I've been doing. But yeah, for the most part, we're not really meat eaters. We do a lot of vegetables. Also because we live right by Chinatown, and in Toronto, Chinatown is like the best spot to get vegetables. Toronto has, or Mississauga, it might be considered Mississauga. Toronto is a big hub for fruits and vegetables for all of Canada. So there's this huge terminal called the Ontario Food Terminal, I think is what it's called. And it's like where all of the big transport trucks go to deliver their fruit and vegetables, I guess. So from what I understand, the grocery stores get their stuff from those big distribution areas, but then the stuff that is subpar, so like the smaller peppers or the stuff that got damaged along the way, I don't know if it gets bought out like at auction or if it gets just distributed to the less large grocery stores in Toronto. But when you go to Chinatown, there's these outdoor markets, and it's like they have an indoor store, but they have tons of stuff outside, and it's all set up like food displays. And they have like, they always have peppers. That's like my favorite thing to get from them. And they're smaller than the ones that you'll find at like Superstore or Walmart or Costco or whatever, like littler bell peppers, but there's never anything wrong with them. Like there's never spots, or they're never old. There's never anything rotting. It's just they're smaller, but they're like 50 cents a pound. So when I go to Walmart, it's like $2.99 a pound for red peppers, which is insane. Like that's like there's no way you could afford to like eat the quantity of red peppers that I would want to eat. So or there's no way that I would afford to eat the foods I would want if I was buying everything regular price all the time. And like maybe, but I prefer not to. So when we go to Chinatown, I can buy like for $4 or $5, I can get all of the vegetables that we'll eat for like 4 days. So, and that's eating like substantial amounts, like 4 of every color pepper we picked up. And then we got a big bag of green grapes. Everything is much cheaper there, and I like that. So and it's close, so we just kind of make it part of our walk. We can go up there, grab a snack, grab some veggies, and then are you playing? Did you just take your toy? He took his toy to go play with. But yeah, so I feel like that has helped with our budgeting a lot, but I guess that's it. We don't eat a lot of meat. The end. It's better for you if you don't eat a lot of meat. That being said, I'll give you my opinions here. These are, again, not recommendations, rather they are just opinions. I am an animal lover. I have always been an animal lover. I agree that cows are big, huge dogs. I think that pigs are scary because they're smart, but they can eat anything. They freak me out a little bit. But I like animals. I think that unnecessary suffering is not unnecessary. Suffering in general is unnecessary. I don't think pain and suffering are necessarily the same thing, but I don't agree that factory farming is the way we should be doing anything. That's not why I'm not eating meat so much all the time, though. I mean, I guess that's part of the influence, just thinking about like the number of steps things take to get to me. That weirds me out a little. But I also think of it like, I don't think it's really good for me, because when I stopped eating like most meat, not when I went like raw vegan. I mean like when I just sort of like cut back a lot on meat, I lost a lot of like excess fat that I didn't mean to lose. So I'm not saying like I lost weight and got really thin or anything, just like fat that usually sits on me and hasn't moved for many years just kind of went away. Like I hold the majority of my weight in my hips, and I noticed significant just it kind of started to leave. And it's not like I'm starving myself. It's not like I'm actively trying to lose weight. It's just I think that for me, meat is where I gain weight more with. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like it's been better for me in general. Like I feel healthier, and I mean I drink more water too, and I eat more vegetables because I have to fill my stomach. So I mean there's what came first, but that's what it feels like for me anyway. But that being said, if we ever had a little bit of land where I could have chickens, oh, good morning. I'm enjoying your talk, but have to go to work. Have an awesome day. Have a great day. I hope today is super for you. And thanks for stopping by this morning, and we'll see you next time. But yes, if I had a little piece of land, I would have no problem having chickens. And Alex isn't, he's squeamish. He's not into blood, gore, guts, anything. I'm not like that. I don't have that is not really part of it for me. Like I don't have a problem fishing. I wouldn't have a problem processing my own chickens or collecting eggs from my chickens. That sort of stuff doesn't seem to affect me the same way, even though I love animals. Oh, good morning, Annette. Nice to see you here. We're just talking about, right now we're talking about food and animals, but we were talking about love and marriage and kids and goals, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like as much as I love animals, I understand that I don't know. The right way to say it without making people angry. It's more about, for me, it's not that I think I'm worth more than any animal or anything like that. I think it's just that I think that if I raise a chicken and I like break its neck and harvest it, it's already better than if I go to Walmart and buy chicken breasts. Because like that chicken that I will have raised will have lived very differently than one that is raised in factory farming. Like factory farming grosses me out. I understand that we're in like a huge country that requires lots of food for lots of people. I understand how we got here. I just think it's kind of gross that we're still here, especially when like it's pretty widely accepted the intelligence level of the animals that we eat is a lot higher than previously understood. So I'm not saying that anyone should stop eating beef or stop eating pork, but like at least recognize that like if you meet a cow, like they are a friendly, smart animal. They can learn to do tricks, and they love their like housemates, and they can be friends with your dog. Like to accept that, I think is kind of important. And I think that like it should be recognized that there is like more to them and that they have feelings, because I'm not saying that we shouldn't eat them. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that if you're going to kill something, you should look at it as more than like a tree that you're cutting down. Like calling it like harvesting, like as if it's just been sitting there waiting for it, is kind of misguided in my opinion. So eventually my ideal goal for my food would be that if I'm going to eat something that was once alive, then I think that I would prefer to have to be the one who raised it and killed it, just because I think it translates better to like a value for not just life. Yeah, I'm saying more honor the animal. Totally great. And also, let me see. I'm an animal lover who raises. I'm 100% animal lover. Raises your own is better than buying one too many scares. Just my opinion. Yeah, that's totally true. Especially when you watch those scary documentaries about like things they do with meat. I don't love that. But for me, it's like, it's kind of like the same as like being willing to put down your pet when they're ill. It's in the same area of my brain where I love Thunder. Like, don't get me wrong, like thinking about him ever getting sick or dying, like I never like thinking about that, but I do think about it. because he gives me unconditional love all day, every day. So if he's in pain, like he doesn't deserve, like he can't make that decision for himself. I'm the one who has to make, I'm his advocate. So it's up to me if he should be put down. It's up to me if he should have to get a surgery or whatever. All those things are not his decision. And when you have animals for food, it's the same thing. It's never been their decision to do that for you. So since it will never be, a chicken will never say like, I'm here to die. Like, I just think that if you raise it yourself, if you could, then it would be better. So in my personal opinion, in a perfect world, everyone would kind of curate what they want to eat in some way. And maybe if you can't do that because you live in a huge city like I do, something that we found is when we go to my parents' farm, many of the neighbors in their farming neighborhood have things in front of their house like egg boxes, so you could go purchase farm fresh eggs there. And yes, it's not $1.99 for a dozen, it's like $3 for a dozen. So you go, wow, that's more expensive. I don't know if I can afford to eat a dozen eggs. But then if you like think about it, you can afford to eat a dozen eggs instead of eating 2 dozen eggs. So if it's $3 a dozen, just get 1 dozen instead of getting 2 at $1.99. And I understand that for everyone, that's not an option. I understand that money is like a legitimate hindrance for every single decision for everybody. But I also think that if you can go out to dinner, then you can probably afford to at least look into ethical practices. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's been something I've been thinking about a lot, where I think that when I'm stuck, not stuck, I shouldn't call it stuck. When I'm home with a baby, I don't see any reason why I won't also have a couple of chickens. You know what I mean? I just think that it's very weird. And I think that in 100 years, people will think, or maybe in 200 years, people will look at the way that we do factory farming now as like this dark stain on our history. Because if I look at 100 years ago, like things were not the way they are now 100 years ago. Like people had a cow and a couple of chickens 100 years ago. And I think in 100 years, it's crazy to think what we could be like in 100 years. But I don't think that history will look kindly on the way that we treat animals in general. I agree. Raise it yourself or get producer that fits your personal philosophy. Totally. And it's not really hard to do anymore, especially with this this huge online community and overnight shipping. There's this amazing thing called overnight shipping, where even if you aren't living close enough to a producer that you want to be buying from, you can buy anything online. You could really buy anything online. And there are small farms that offer delivery for like grocery delivery, basically, but just for the things that they have. So in my opinion, I think that in a perfect world, either you'd be growing it yourself or you'd be finding it from someone who's growing it, not necessarily in a way that treats the animal like a thing. Because like you name your dog, and a cow is like pretty at least as smart as a dog. So give it some credit. It's not just a tree. And I think that also by having to cull your own animals and like process them yourself, I think that it's like or at least being aware of what has to go through in order for those things to happen. I think that's kind of, it's valuable. Like I remember the first time I caught a fish that I got to eat. My dad, we were camping and it was just a sunfish. Like it was like maybe as big as my hand. And I remember having to kill it, which was like a thing. It wasn't a scary thing because it wasn't brought into my life as a scary thing, and my dad had already given us fish that he had cooked and made before. But I remember the first time I did it, and when my dad brought lemon and we were camping and we did like lemon and herbs and butter and we wrapped it up in tinfoil and cooked it on the oven, on the fire. And it's like a different feeling, like knowing that you pulled it out of the water and like, I don't know, I think it set me up for this world of, opinions. I'm an opinionated person. I'm an opinionated person who is trying to learn about the opinions that I have over and over again, if that makes any sense. So there's that. Plus, I think that when I do have kids, I want them to learn those things. Like, I don't like the idea of trophy hunting, for example, but regular hunting, like where you are managing the population of a species on your land, I don't think that that is necessarily like evil if you're going to be using the animal. So like when people go for a turkey hunt, I don't feel bad about it. Like I don't want animals to die needlessly. And that makes me sad when animals die needlessly. But if you're hunting and you're going to shoot a turkey and then take it home and your family's going to eat for like several days because of that, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. So that being said, I have never hunted yet, because now that my parents have a farm, there are quail and grouse and turkeys that like pass on their property often. So I can't say that I'll never hunt. I can say that I never have yet, unless you count fishing, and then I've hunted because I've definitely caught a lot of fish. I don't think I've eaten very many that I've caught, though. I've eaten many that my father's caught. He used to go perch fishing, and then he would have perch at home. But I haven't caught many that I've eaten. I would say I've eaten under 10 fish that I've caught. Maybe even under 5. But every single time it was lots of fun, so being connected to your food, I think, is good for you. Oh, also, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the idea I have for my wedding, because I think about it, but I don't talk about it. Oh, I'm working on an infinity scarf or something. I'm basically just trying to get rid of all this yarn, so I started and then just said I'll just keep going until my yarn runs out. And it looks like I'll only get a couple more rounds. This is as much as I have left in the white. But it'll be some kind of cozy scarf. It is really cozy. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about my wedding dresses, because I'm going to have 2 wedding dresses, I decided. Originally, I planned on making one of them and buying one of them. But now I'm kind of thinking I'm going to make both of them, because I want one of them to be a like 1950s, teach them to have survival skills and prepare them for life. Teach a person to fend for themselves will teach them to never go without. And it raises them up to be self-sufficient. That totally makes sense. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, give them survival skills. Yeah, I would love to. That's one of the things I always say with Alex when we talk about having kids is I sure hope that they're gonna like camping, because that is my favorite thing to do in the summer. And if they turn out like indoor nerdy, not nerdy, I'm okay with their nerdy. If they turn out being super indoor, not outdoorsy people, I won't know what to do with them, because like I played in the mud. I was like a wild child outside most of the time, and my parents just let me run wild for the most part, and I think it did really good things for me, because I have a strong, I don't know, sense of self and independence now. Anyway, wedding dress. I want to make one that's like a 1950s, like just super basic white dress, like maybe a neckline like this, but like super fitted bodice, like the dresses I showed yesterday that I made, except I'll raise the neckline so that it shows off like just collarbone, but like a wide up high neck. And I want to do that, one of those ones where it's like this far off the ground, so there's just like your shoes and your ankles show. So that's one of them, like 1950s style wedding dress there. And then I want to do one that's like basically lace, like entirely lace, but I want to be the one who made the lace. So it's going to take me some time to make them. The one dress I think I'll make in a weekend. The lace dress is going to be a bit of a pain, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. Plus, I don't know. That's what I think. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think the one that will be the 1950s one will just be like plain white like super white, crystal pure white. And then the lace one I think I'll do in like a something not too white, something more creamy. I don't know which one will be for what part of the ceremony or wedding, but that's what I'm thinking at this point. And then I think I'll probably end up making Alex's at least his bow tie and his shirt. I don't think I'll make his jacket because men's jackets are very stressful to sew, but I think I can do his shirt and his bow tie anyway. And then for flowers, Alex and I both don't really care. We're thinking since we're going to get married in August, I can't do lilacs. Originally, I wanted lilacs for my flowers because those are my favorite. But they're my favorite because it marks spring and it smells beautiful. But they're not available in August because they're a spring blooming flower. And they're not really a cut flower. They live on the plant. So I think that we'll probably do roses just because they're available and they look beautiful. And Alex usually buys me roses. So it kind of goes with our whole theme. Plus, they last a little while. I like the idea of if you're going to have flowers somewhere, they're not going to die that night. So yeah, probably just roses. Roses or black-eyed Susans. I really like black-eyed Susans as well. But I don't really look good in yellow, so I don't know how that will affect any of that. I'm not really in my planning just yet. Thunder, what are you doing? What are you doing? Little troublemaker. All right, I think I can do one more round on here. And so far it's going okay. One more round and then I think it's gonna be done. So I guess it'll be, I mean, I could do it like that way. It'll be like a really like bunchy cowl. I don't know yet. I guess we will see soon. Have you guys seen the movie, the new Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper one, the A Star is Born? Holy moly. Alex and I went and saw that, and I'm pretty sure we both cried. Like, I know that I cried, but I won't speak for Alex. But holy moly, it was a good movie. It was really well acted. Yeah, it will be really warm, the cowl. It was really well acted and felt very real. I was saying to Alex, I think it's because it was the one movie in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 movies that we've gone to see that included no CGI, no after effects, no special effects, nothing that wasn't just like real human emotion. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was heavy, and it's if you're having like a bad day, maybe don't go see it. But if you're feeling okay, wow, it was very powerful, and the music that they put into it fit really well. And oh, have a nice day, Annette. Thanks for coming by. See you next time. But yeah, wow, that was a really good movie. And if you haven't seen it, I actually like go see it or wait till it comes out and then watch it because that's a nice movie. I want to watch it again later. But wow, Bradley Cooper has some range. I didn't really realize he could be so dark and serious, which is like, he's a sexy guy in this movie. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Anyway, I think I'm gonna actually wrap it up here now anyway, because I have a couple of things I really need to get done this morning. So I'm going to go do them, and I need to do them off camera because they require me to be at my actual camera station. So I think this is done. I'm just gonna cast off now. And I guess that's it for today. It's a little shorter than yesterday. Yesterday we went for almost 2 hours, which was like, for me, a little bit excessive. I had a little bit of too much talking from that. But yeah, I think I'm going to be doing live streams now Wednesdays and Thursdays because I put out my videos every Tuesday. So come back on Tuesday at 7 a.m. My video comes out at 7 a.m. on Tuesdays. And I've got a 2-parter that is already uploaded. It just has to wait till Tuesday to be live. And it's on this sweater. I'll show you. I will show you. Don't even worry about it. this sweater, my tutorial for this one is coming out, by Gray, is coming out every, not every Tuesday, it's coming out this Tuesday. So yeah, check back on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. And then Wednesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. I will come here and we can have our tea together and start our day together. So I'll see you on Tuesday. And thank you so much for stopping by. And I hope you have an awesome weekend and an awesome Friday. Bye, guys.